Hello, summer school educators. Today we're going to talk about your read aloud block for summer school. So in summer school, you're going to be able to select your own read alouds. So you can pick whatever kind of book it is that you want to read. If you want to do a picture book, then that's going to give you the opportunity to read something different each day, or you could choose a chapter book and read a chapter a day, however you want to do it. You're going to have about 15 minutes to do your read aloud, which will also include vocabulary instruction. And then after that, you'll have about 15 to 20 more minutes where you're going to be able to find a main idea of the story that they just listened to, and you can also then offer either summary, inferencing questions, or other types of questions that you want to include. So today I'm going to model for you with this picture book called Wilfred Gordon MacDonald Partridge. The first thing you want to do whenever you do your planning is you're going to need to read it, and you're going to select between 2 and 3 Tier 2 vocabulary words. So what I mean by Tier 2 are words that, number one, they may not know the meaning of, and number two, they would encounter them again, most likely in other books or in spoken language, and it can become a part of their lexicon, their stored vocabulary that they can then use in their writing or in their speaking. Tier 3 vocabulary is a little bit different. This is vocabulary that they don't know the meaning of most likely, but it's more content specific. So things like photosynthesis, that would be more of like a science word. And in this particular book, there is the word cricket, not the animal, but the sport. So I did not choose the word cricket because it's not a common word that they're going to see in other types of books unless it is a book that is, about that type of sport or includes that. Instead, I chose memory because that's a word that they're likely going to see over and over again and that they would need to know the meaning of, and they can then use it in their spoken language or in their written language. And I chose precious. So those are the two that I have selected today. Once you've got your vocabulary words selected, you want to go ahead and write them out. I did mine on sentence strips. You could do index cards, however you want to do it. That way, when they're done, you can hang them up so that the students can refer to them. And again, we can use them in our spoken language or in our written language. I also like to play a little game with the words. I would hang mine up throughout the week, or since it's summer school and it's short, you can hang them up through the whole time. And when a student used one of the words in either their spoken language or their written language, that word got a point. And so I would just put, when somebody had used it, I would just put a little tally mark on the card, and at the end of the week, we can see which word was the winner, which one got used the most often. So that was just a way to encourage them to start using it more. And of course, the more they use it, the more they're going to internalize it. So you'll have your words. I also like to make a copy of the front cover of the book, and then I would attach my words to the book, the copy of the front cover, and hang those on my vocabulary wall. So that's just like an anchor for them to be able to see it. And then whenever you're all finished, you can just take them down and store your words with the front cover copy of the book, and then you've got it for next year if this was something you were going to reuse again. So with that being said, once I've got my plan, then I can go ahead and model for you the read aloud. What you're going to see me do is I would teach the kids the word first. Then I would ask them to listen for the word in the story. When they hear the word in the story being used, they're going to touch their ear. And I always say, I'm watching to see if you're listening. We're going to be listening for these two words, and then we would repeat them again. So you want to give the kids the opportunity to hear the definition first. Don't ask them what it means. Tell them what it means, and then you're going to have them repeat the word up to 3 times. So likely when you first introduce it, after you've told them what it means, and then when you encounter it in the text. That's 3 different opportunities to repeat that word to you. All right, so let's see what that would look like. All right, so I'm going to switch into my teacher role now and model for you what my read aloud would look like. Boys and girls, today we're going to be reading this new book. Here's the front cover, and the title is Wilfred Gordon MacDonald Partridge, and it's written by Mem Fox, they are the author, and illustrated by Julie Vivas. She is the illustrator. She did the pictures. So have a look at the front cover. Today, when we read this story, we're going to encounter 2 new vocabulary words. The first one is memory. Say it. Memory. A memory is something that you remember. It's stored in your brain, and usually it's like a thought or a story of something that's happened to you before, and you remember it. It's a memory. What is it? A memory. Very good. The next word that we're going to encounter is the word precious. Say it. Precious. Very good. When something is precious, it sometimes is valuable or very, very important to you. You may have heard a parent or a grandparent say to you that you're very precious. That means to them you are very valuable. You're very important to them. Or you may have heard that diamonds are precious. They're very valuable. What was that new word? Precious. Very good. Today, as I do my reading, I want you to be listening for these two new words. When you hear me say memory or precious, you're going to touch your ear like this to let me know that you're listening. What was our first word? Memory. Good. And what was the second one? Precious. All right, let's listen. Wilford Gordon MacDonald Partridge, written by Mem Fox, illustrated by Julie Vivas. There once was a small boy called Wilford Gordon MacDonald Partridge, and what's more, he wasn't very old either. His house was next door to an old people's home, and he knew all the people who lived there. He liked Miss Jordan, who played the organ. He listened to Mr. Hoskins, who told him scary stories. He played with Mr. Tippet, who was crazy about cricket. Cricket is like a sport that's played in the UK. He ran errands for Miss Mitchell, who walked with a wooden stick. He admired Mr. Drysdale, who had a voice like a giant. But his favorite person of all was Miss Nancy Allison Delacourt Cooper, because she had 4 names just like he did. He called her Miss Nancy, and he told her all his secrets. One day, Wilford Gordon heard his mother and father talking about Miss Nancy. "Poor old thing," said his mother. "Why is she a poor old thing?" asked Wilford Gordon. "'Cause she's lost her memory," said his father. Oh, I saw some of you touch your ear. What word did you hear? Memory, that's right. Remember, a memory is something that you remember. "It isn't surprising," said his mother. "After all, she is 96. "What's a memory?" asked Wilford Gordon. He was always asking questions. "It is something you remember," said his father. But Wilford Gordon wanted to know more, so he called on Miss Jordan, who played the organ. An organ is a little bit like a piano. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something warm, my child, something warm." He called on Mr. Hoskins, who told him scary stories. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something from long ago, my lad, something from long ago." He called on Mr. Tippet, who was crazy about cricket. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something that makes you cry, my boy, something that makes you cry." He called on Miss Mitchell, who walked with a wooden stick. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something that makes you laugh, my darling, something that makes you laugh." He called on Mr. Drysdale, who had a voice like a giant. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something as precious as gold, young man, something as precious as gold." Oh, did you hear it? What was that word? Precious, that's right. And he said it was as precious as gold. That means valuable. So a memory is valuable to him. So Wilford Gordon went home again to look for memories for Miss Nancy because she had lost her own. He looked for the shoebox of shells he had found long ago last summer. He found the puppet on strings, which always made everyone laugh, and he put that in the basket too. He remembered with sadness the medal which his grandfather had given him, and he placed it gently next to the shells. Next he found his football, which was as precious as gold, and last of all, on his way to Miss Nancy's, he went into the hen house and took a fresh, warm egg from under a hen. Then Wilford Gordon called on Miss Nancy and gave her each thing one by one. "What a dear, strange child to bring me all these wonderful things," thought Miss Nancy. Then she started to remember. She held the warm egg and told Wilford Gordon about the tiny speckled blue eggs she had once found in a bird's nest in her aunt's garden. She put a shell to her ear and remembered going to the beach by tram long ago and how hot she had felt in her button-up boots. She touched the metal and talked sadly of the big brother she had loved, who had gone to the war and never returned. She smiled at the puppet on strings and remembered the one she had shown to her sister and how she had laughed with a mouthful of porridge. She bounced the football to Wilford Gordon and remembered the day she had met him and all the secrets they had told. And the two of them smiled and smiled because Miss Nancy's memory had been found again by a small boy who wasn't very old either. The end. Did you like that story? Yes. We learned 2 new vocabulary words today. We learned precious. That's when something is what? Yes, it's very valuable or very important to you. And we learned memory. Memory is something that you remember. All right, now we're going to find the main idea of that story. Remember, the main idea is what the story is mostly about. We can find the main idea by first deciding on what the text structure is of our story. We are going to do that today by looking at this decision-making tree. So first things first, we have to ask ourselves, was there a problem in that story? So let's think about our story today. A problem is something that goes wrong. Was there a problem in this story today? Yes, there was. What was that problem? That Miss Nancy lost her memory. That's right. Then we ask, is there a solution? That means, was the problem fixed? Yes, there was a solution. What was it? Wilford brought her lots of things to help her remember, didn't he? And then we also ask ourselves, is there a cause to the problem? So the problem was Miss Nancy had lost her memory. So what caused that? She was very old, yes, and sometimes when people are very old, their memory is not too good. And it did say at the beginning of the story she was 96. So yes, we do have a cause. So our text structure is cause, problem, solution. What we're going to do now is use the sentence stems that matches so that we can give a main idea. The main idea is what the story is mostly about, and this story was mostly about the cause of the problem, that Miss Nancy lost her memory, and the solution of how Wilford brought her many things to help her remember. So let's start. I'm going to write it today, and in the future, you guys are going to be writing these on your own using the decision tree and the sentence stems. So let's start. We'll start with the first sentence. The cause is. Let me write that down. The cause is. Now you guys tell me, what was the cause of our problem today? That's right. Miss Nancy was very old, so we can go ahead and write that down. The cause is Miss Nancy is very old. And then what was our problem? That's the next sentence stem. The problem is, help me finish that. Who can raise their hand and help me finish what the problem is? The problem is she lost her memory. That's right. Let's write that down. She lost her memory. Mem-or-e. Period at the end of my sentence. And then last we have the solution is. The solution is how they fixed it. The solution, shun is T-I-O-N. The solution is, how did they fix that problem? Wilford brought her things. Wilford brought her things to help her remember. To help her remember. Good job. Okay, now let's look at it and let's read out our main idea. Our main idea is what the story is mostly about. So we said, see if I can get this all on the screen. The cause is Miss Nancy is very old. The problem is she lost her memory. And the solution is Wilford brought her things to help her remember. Very good. So if we were looking at a multiple choice for main idea, we know we need to be looking for these things within the multiple choice answer. And then at that point, you could then go ahead and ask any other follow-up questions that you might want to ask. You might want to ask for a summary, in which case they can take their main idea and just add details to it. They might say some of the things that he brought in the basket. They might talk about how Miss Nancy lives in the old folks' home and how they played together. And then you might ask some inferencing questions as well, just whatever of the grade level standards are that you want to hit as far as reading comprehension goes. So that would be the entirety of your read aloud block. So what you saw me do was plan for it by reading the book to myself and deciding on 2 to 3 vocabulary words and recording them on pieces of sentence strip. Then I introduced those words prior to reading. I did not ask the students what they meant. I told them what they meant, and I had them repeat the words 2 times before reading and touch their ear to listen for those words, and then say it within the text as well. At the end of the read aloud, I shared with you on the screen, and we'll get you one of these, is the decision tree. You can also just make one on on a poster board or however you want to do it, but we can get you these. The problem, you're going to say yes or no if there was a problem, and the text structures that they're going to choose from are cause, problem, solution. It might just be problem and solution. Cause and effect is the one that they're going to choose when, yes, there was a problem, but it was not solved. Usually that's when a problem just causes some sort of effect. That's a cause and effect. And then lastly, it might be a comparison. These usually happen in a nonfiction type of text. Let's say you're reading about elephants and you read about African elephants and Asian elephants, and they're being compared on what they eat, what they look like, and how much they weigh. Then those would be, that would be a comparison. So it might be Asian elephants and African elephants are compared on what they eat, what they weigh, and what they look like. So that's how you would complete that sentence stem. So it's just according to what happens in the story. And then you would model how to write the main idea using these sentence stems for the first few days. And then after that, go ahead and release it and let them write their own. You want to post the sentence stems for them to refer to, but filling in the blank is going to be their job. They don't have to use the exact same language, just so long as they get the general idea of what the problem and the solution was, what was being compared, or what the cause and effect was, to show that they literally understood what was read. When we're talking main idea, we're looking for literal comprehension. When we're talking about inferencing, that's less concrete and more abstract comprehension that we're looking for there. So not too difficult as far as the read aloud goes. You are going to have autonomy here to where you can choose some books that maybe you've been missing and you want to go ahead and bring back. This is your chance to go ahead and do that. So I hope you select some things that you enjoy. If you don't have a lot of read alouds that you can bring with you, you are always welcome to use the smartboard, or whatever they call now, the interactive board, and you can check out getepic.com. If you're not familiar with that, I'll show you mine just real quick. www.getepic.com. You can create collections, whatever you want. Sign in as an educator. Go ahead and create yourself an account. Let me log in here. Here we go. And you can choose to search by age, grade level, and there are just thousands of books that are on here, whatever you want. I have collections of books that you can check out that have just different topics. But as far as just looking at them, you can hit explore. Again, you can search here. You can explore by grade. I've got 3rd grade highlighted right now. There are tons and tons and tons of different kinds of books. Let's say we wanted to read about summer because it is summer. Just look at all the books there are. Some are read to me, so you're going to just listen. I wouldn't pick those because, you're not going to get to read to kids too much. There's never enough time to read to kids, and we just need to do that because it's great to do. They want to hear your voice, and this is your opportunity to go ahead and pick those vocabulary words. There's videos and things like that as well if you want to use those to build background knowledge. There's also audiobooks. They could listen to those during small groups. They can read during small groups on this site, all kinds of things, lots and lots of opportunities for reading, building vocabulary, and background knowledge right here on getepic.com, totally free. Just make an account if you don't already have one. All right, so that is everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for your service to summer school and for helping to get these students ready for 3rd grade or 4th grade. That's very, very important next year, very, very important. So again, thank you, and I hope you have a great summer.